yoga as a state of chit vritti nirodha, or a cessation of the waves or misconceptions of the mind. The Katha Upanishad says, "He who is free from desire, free from grief, with mind and senses tranquil, beholds the glory of the Atma." Ancient knowledge of Raja Yoga was put down systematically as the Yoga Sutra by a great sage called Patanjali, most likely in the 4th century CE. Patanjali is revered till today as a reincarnation of the serpent Ananta, who is associated with the deity Vishnu. Patanjali prescribed a system called Ashtanga, or the 8-limbed path. The first 5 limbs are steps of discipline, the doing part of it. The next 3 limbs are internal. They are the outcome of practicing the earlier 5. Yama and Niyama are the first 2 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. Yama are rules of conduct with the world around us. Niyama refers to ethical discipline within ourselves.
These are basic moral, ethical rules that are there in all cultures, all religions. Of course, the most important of the yama, the parama dharma, as it is said, the paramo dharma, ahimsa. The very first step in the spiritual life, do not harm. And then the niyamas, cultivation of the human nature, the consciousness, manas.
If we look at the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, yoga is defined as samadhi. And the essence of samadhi is that it is the deepest level of meditation. So all the other practices of yoga are preliminary to meditation and samadhi, or supports for them. Asana is calming, harmonizing, and balancing the body so that it can help you relax into a meditative state.
So we will always deal with our body as a means, as our first prop to mingle with our soul. So this is the main essence of this method. This is why we have to use the physical body. We go from the outer sheath, the outer layer of our body, deep down into the inner part, the innermost part.
And asana is sthiram sukham asanam, which is stable, which gives you the stability not only to your body but your mind. Mind needs that asana. Not only the body needs it, but mind needs that asana where you can become stable, where you feel comfortable. In that stage, things will go up and down, but your asana should not go up and down.
The next limb of Ashtanga Yoga is pranayama. The purpose of asana is to prepare the body for the thoughtful extension of breath, pranayama, so that prana, or the life energy, can circulate to all parts of the body. Next comes pratyahar, which means the withdrawal of the senses, freedom from their constant disturbance, taking us from the outer world to that which is within. The next limb of Ashtanga is dharana, or focused concentration. Then comes dhyan, or meditation, and finally samadhi, when one has transcended the limitations of the body and intellect to be in a true state of yoga.
Many people these days talk about meditation as a practice. I'm going to practice meditation. I'm going to learn meditation, do meditation, this meditation technique, that meditation technique. Meditation is actually an undoing. It's not about bringing in something new or becoming something new or learning something new. It's about letting go of all of that which isn't the self.
Meditation, put simply, is the ability to observe, to witness, to be aware, to accept things as they are, to dwell in the presence that embraces the past, present, and future at the same time, and allowing ourselves to return to our original nature, which is a state of pure consciousness beyond the body and mind.
And I like my Master Swami Veda's response. Meditation, taking that little time, however long you can sit for, half an hour, 20 minutes, 1 hour or more every day, is the most selfless thing a human being can do. Because if we want to give something, the only thing we can give is what we have. We can't give anything we don't have. So if inside we have anger, we have frustration, we have turbulent emotions, we have tense mind, we have tense physical body, then when we try to give something, everything that we give is going to be flavored with that tension, with that anger, with that emotional turbulence. So if we want to give something really valuable, if we want to give a little peace, a little bit of joy, then to create that within ourselves is absolutely necessary, absolutely needed.
So yoga and meditation are never two, and yet yoga provides us all the tools and lifestyle and preliminary practices so that meditation really works.
I'm originally a classical trained ballet dancer. Working out as a ballet dancer and or like maybe like another sports discipline has always been, is always in this direction of getting better, of working harder and finally achieve something, but achieve something in a superficial way. And working out in yoga, even though it is a hard workout, and you can compare it to sports or even dance, but it leads you to yourself in the end. And I think this achievement is much more important in this world of hectic and stress.
You know, in Berlin you have so many patchwork families, you have people lose their jobs constantly. It's everything is kind of a big question mark, almost like it's like rents get more expensive in this town. It's many things are unsure, and I see people struggle and fight a lot to find their place in it all. You know, you have so much freedom, and yet it always feels like, or often feels like, sand that runs through your fingers. And to have something that's solid, where you feel yourself again, where you're not constantly going out trying to achieve something, do something, be something, but where you actually bring it in. And what I found, what works very well, is to first have something that grounds them and gets people into their bodies first, to come from thinking into feeling mode. And once that's achieved, then they develop more of a core, of a center, and they can come back more to themselves.
Yoga really changed my life, changed my mind, my heart, because every moment is just one moment in your life, and this moment don't come back. And yoga, I think, really can give you understand this moment.
This is the tree position.
You don't want talking too much, and some people, you don't want some drinking or relaxing. You have completely. You really feeling love and happy.
For me, it means everything, from childhood to death. How life moves. So yoga guides me to move. So it's a friend for me, it's a guide, and it is a philosophy. I am practicing since 80 years. Patanjali does not say asana is good for health. He only says it brings the dual mind to a single mind. And that is the philosophy of the asanas. So that's why I said, I am living in the state of present, my mind does not wander to the future or things of the past. That's why I am the happiest man, that yoga has brought me this happiness, because I have suffered from tuberculosis, malaria and influenza and all these diseases which made me completely a parasitic life, has brought me liberation. Self is just awareness. It has no form. Purusha is nirakara. So this Purusha, when it takes into a form, that is ahankara. So the formless becomes formful, and that form plays game, and that is why the methodology of making that form mind to go back to formlessness is the field of yoga. This is what I say, it takes a long time, because we are caught up very fast with the sensual mind. And that is why Patanjali in the second chapter says that the individual mind behaves as if it is the soul, which causes the problems. Therefore, the sadhana begins how to bring that mind, which considers itself as the root of everything, how it is not a root, but it is subordinate to something else. So mind personifies itself as the self. And that's why yoga is a means to conquer this personification of the mind, to make it impersonal.
Yoga has been found by leading doctors and scientists around the world to be extremely beneficial for all people. Yoga is perhaps the most profound and deep study of the human mind ever conducted.
What is widely appreciated is that creativity develops, calmness comes in, there's a deep ability to control the emotions, emotional intelligence increases, stress is relieved. In fact, the second sutra of the Yoga Sutras says this is the system to relieve stress. It's extremely profound, and modern science doesn't take things easily. It doesn't take things for granted, particularly ancient traditions. We know from the West that what Aristotle wrote has largely turned out to be waffle and rubbish. He was very intelligent, but Aristotle's physics and his metaphysics are now totally questioned and shown to be wrong. And there's a tendency in the West to assume that any piece of ancient knowledge is going to turn out to be wrong. But in the case of yoga, 30, 40 years of research has shown that it's actually turned out to be right. Herbert Benson, now the head of the Benson, or ex-head of the Benson Henry Institute at Harvard University Medical School, and one of the most important people in modern medicine as one of the co-founders of mind-body medicine. But his work on mind-body medicine came out of classical work on yoga meditation. Now, that research was inspirational all over the world.
We standardized some yoga modules for some common conditions that we have been seeing in this hospital: schizophrenia, depression, anxiety disorders, patients with memory complaints in the elderly. So in addition to their clinical outcome, we also wanted to measure, would yoga produce any other measurable biological effects. The brain repairs itself and it needs a chemical for that called as the brain derived neurotropic factor. Yoga did increase the levels of brain derived neurotropic factor in the blood, and interestingly the degree to which the depression got better was directly related to the degree to which the brain derived neurotropic factor levels increased. So patients with depression can be effectively treated, and in those people who are receiving antidepressant drugs, if they choose to take yoga as an addition, it could still be added. And why does yoga produce benefits in schizophrenia? We are investigating that. At this point of time, we have some lead. There is a hormone called as oxytocin, also called as a cuddling hormone. It is known to make people more sensitive about emotions, emotion perception and regulation of the emotion. And yoga practice after 1 month substantially increased the oxytocin levels in the blood of patients with schizophrenia.
I am an assistant professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. My PhD is in the field of neuroscience, and since the year 2001 I've been conducting research on yoga full-time. Most people are pretty much dissociated from their bodies and their minds. And so as a consequence of this increased mind-body awareness, they start to gravitate towards positive health behaviors, towards things that make them feel better. They'll stop smoking because smoking no longer feels good to them. They'll stop drinking alcohol because alcohol doesn't feel good. It's numbing, it's a stimulant.
I'm professor of internal medicine at the University of Duisburg-Essen, and I'm head of the chair for complementary and integrative medicine.
And we had 600 patients who were interested.
As we are part of an academic teaching hospital of the university, we are practicing evidence-based medicine. And we are integrating, for example, yoga on the basis of evidence. So the patients we are treating are suffering from chronic diseases, for example, from chronic pain, also from chronic internal diseases. Evidence for yoga is relatively good in comparison to other complementary methods. Yoga practice and meditation can obviously improve the fluid intelligence in elderly people, and that's something very exciting to know. Fluid intelligence is the ability to find solution for very acute problems, to find creative solutions for acute problems. Our hospital is a mainstream hospital in Germany. We do have approximately 900 beds and 14 different departments. And for example, for breast cancer and for ovarian cancer, we're one of the top 3 hospitals in Germany. Not even 50 years ago, also probably 5 years or 10 years ago, it would not be imaginable that yoga would be integrated in a mainstream hospital. I mean, that's similar to the Charité in Berlin. That's one of the top hospitals in Germany, and they also integrated yoga into the mainstream treatment.
I'm heading a department for internal medicine here in Berlin at the Charité University Center. The astonishing thing about yoga is that regardless which indication we tested yoga, the results were positive. I'm doing also a lot of other research trials evaluating other treatment methods. And in comparison to that, I never have seen such a consistent positive treatment effect. So I think we will see in the next 10 years an enormous further development, and I'm quite sure that we will see yoga entering conventional medicine in the Western world. In Germany or in Europe, 70% of all costs in the health system are caused by chronic disease. Diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, osteoarthritis, and in fact there are mostly no solutions from pharmacotherapy or surgery, and from the results we see, yoga really has a very good answer for these problems.
So initially I was very excited to receive interest from National Institutes of Health in looking closely at yoga therapy. I thought that was very important for yoga therapy. But when Aetna Insurance Company got behind these research projects and offered to fund this study on stress management, I was really excited because, of course, that's where the rubber hits the road. The insurance companies are where the big dollars are, and if they're looking seriously at yoga therapy and willing to fund research in it, it really means that yoga therapy is entering the mainstream. When you're talking about an insurance company that insures 17 million people throughout the country, I think that's their number. Aetna is the third biggest insurance company in the world. For them to put dollars behind research in yoga therapy is an extraordinary opportunity for us in yoga therapy.
Today, considerable disease and psychological disorders are created by the pressures of the commercialized world. In the face of the collapsing state of physical and mental health, many are finding yoga to be the best answer to the present problems.
When I went to NASA, I had many choices, but I chose Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, where the rockets were developed from a small thing to the gigantic Saturn rocket. So my main work at that time was to do the research in space shuttle. And in the space shuttle, we use cryogenic material, and it is very, very low temperature technology that has to be done. And from there, when I came to Harvard, I was on the other side, and the high temperature technology, working on that. I moved from, as I always say, from mechanical into human engineering. And when you come to the life situation, the things are quite different. There is intelligence. How to track the intelligence has been the challenge. And that's where science is slowly moving from the physical to things which are beyond the physical. To understand, is there something like prana, mind, emotions, intellect, and the base of the being, the consciousness. It's into this region the science is progressing. But always science moves in a very, very small speed. It took 400 years to understand the gross physical world. How long it takes to understand all this myriad complex creation, maybe thousands of years. Fortunately, in our country, we have all the wisdom base through the Upanishads and others, and only we have to bring that one and start applying.
Now, in physics, also now they realize the atomic level. Every moment it is changing, moving like that. One time, one of my friend, the Raja Ramana, Indian sort of nuclear physicist, once he told me he found the concept of quantum physics found